Okay, regular jog, go. Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
To be part of a team
Keep going. Line it up down there.
takes a commitment.
Let's go, kid.
It also takes a good coach.
If we don't have a layup right away, bring it out.
Chris Bianchi is in his first year as coach of the Franklin Upper School girls varsity basketball team.
Ready. Play.
A team which, for about the past 10 years, did not exist.
I will tell you, people thought I was crazy for doing this, and they still think I'm crazy for doing it. Go!
Franklin is a high school of 1,100 students. It happens to be located in one of Rochester's poorest neighborhoods.
So why don't you plan on coming down maybe tomorrow?
Principal Rick Smith convinced Bianchi to help bring the program back. It was September, and the school year had already begun.
We had nothing into place. The district already had things into place. Schedules are already built. But we said, you know what, let's go for it.
There you go.
Bianchi recruited players in the cafeteria during lunchtime.
My expectations were we're going to have a program.
About 75 girls showed interest, and 30 of them made it past tryouts.
Everybody told me I really should, and that I tried playing, at the rec center with the boys, and I actually liked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah, my best friend, she was talking about joining. I was like, we all might as well do it. Finish our senior year, out good, have fun together.
You want your butt to the sideline so you can see the whole court. Does everyone see this?
Starting a new basketball program takes guts. Bianchi has done it before, both on the high school and college levels. But Franklin has no girls' JV team. Just varsity.
And I told everyone there's no way I'm cutting one kid who's taking a risk to come out for something new here that has an interest, that's going to do the work in the classroom, be a good citizen, and then come out and work hard on the court. There's no way I'm cutting anyone.
Get in class?
Yeah.
All right.
When Franklin does make the news, the school principal admits it's usually not for something good. Every kid here has a story.
It is difficult at times. Many of our students have gone through some very, very hard times. Many of them have persevered, which is great, but they're not, the most open or showing the hand that they're holding, until they get to know somebody.
Bianchi is working to build that trust.
Give it to her. Give it to her. Go!
He's a coach first.
He's a tough nut. A tough nut. It's like he doesn't care what anybody thinks.
We have 30 girls here. No one's going to be selfish like that. Or you can hit the bricks. It's the one rule we have.
But on the bright side, he's doing it for the best for all of us and helping us improve. You heard me?
The coach has used his connections to get his team new jerseys, to completely renovate the girls' varsity locker room, and to get new sneakers for the entire team.
We go right into our blue.
When they can't get court time,
Ready. Bring.
the Lady Bulldogs practice in the cafeteria.
You're just trying to utilize the time that you have with the kids as best you can. It's time management and trying to get those extra reps in whenever you can, because the kids understand that they're behind. They're trying to play catch up.
Before this season, not a single member of the Franklin girls varsity basketball team had played high school ball. Some never played organized basketball at all.
Like, everybody's talking down on the girls' basketball, saying we're not going to be good and everything, but I feel like it's just like a chance for us to show that we're better than just what people are saying.
Negative noise, which needed to be blocked out. Still, even before the team's first home game, Bianchi told his players this season is not about wins and losses.
It's probably the most important coaching job that I've ever had because of our kids. And for me not to share my skill set would be selfish.
On a recent Wednesday night in front of a packed gym,
Bulldogs on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3, Bulldogs!
the Franklin Lady Bulldogs played their first home game in years. From the opening tip, it was obvious. It was going to be a long night.
Dad's on the ball! Dad's on the ball!
Bianchi says this season he'll measure success in small steps.
How do we win? We win by having a team. We win by making sure that people don't quit. We win by being good citizens in the classroom. We win by getting good grades. We win by helping others out and showing people that this is something that can be done and mirrored throughout the district.
I had the mindset of, oh, you say I can't, I say I can. And if you think I can't do better, watch me do better.
every team's success has to start somewhere. The true final score for these girls is a lifetime away.
We got through the first quarter. They didn't give up, tried to stay organized, and they worked really hard for the game. I'm real proud of them.
In Rochester, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News. A drive through downtown Dublin, New Hampshire takes exactly that long. A short drive past the home of a cultural icon.
It's been around for a long time.
Carol Kinnear is editor of the Old Farmer's Almanac.
Lots of home remedies and cures, something that we still do a ton of.
The oldest continuously published periodical in North America.
Yeah, that's fun to look back at the eclipses.
First put out,
See what else we can find, what little treasures.
in 1793 by founder Robert B. Thomas.
Accurate weather is at the backbone of what we do, but also it's useful with a pleasing degree of humor. You know, it has to be entertaining, and so that's what's kept us around.
Weather is traditionally the Old Farmer's Almanac's biggest draw.
Cold and snowy for most of the country.
This year's long-range forecast developed using long-range weather trends and a combination of climatology, meteorology, and Thomas's original belief in solar science.
He believed that the weather on Earth was influenced by sunspots, the activity on the surface of the sun. Of course, things have changed over the years, but we still keep true to that, those principles that he started with all the way back in 1792.
Just as its name states, the Old Farmer's Almanac was initially published for farmers. It helped them with planting and planning.
Back in the day, most homes would have a Bible and an almanac.
230 years is a long time.
What? Object because your father never used one? Fiddlestick. You must keep up with the improvements of the times.
The Old Farmer's Almanac has kept up with the times.
If you want to go look at the eclipses page, brings you right there.
Including a digital format and a website where folks can find localized forecasts based upon zip code.
There's lots of information there, and I think it's just a great resource. People use the web for a tool, and we are that trusted resource.
For tips on everything from gardening to fashion,
There's just so much in here.
to current trends and interesting stories.
We need to have stories in there that people want to read, but something that people may never even think that they'd want to know about.
The Old Farmer's Almanac has always been that way.
We don't mess with the formula.
A 230-year-long track record says, why would you?
So we spend an extensive amount of time fact-checking to make sure that we've got it right, because people, they come to us and they want us to be, a source for them that they can go to, they can trust, they believe, and we really take a lot of pride in that.
In Dublin, New Hampshire, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News. When Maddie Underhill has a vision, she best expresses it
You're definitely going to doubt yourself when painting.
through art.
Art gives me that freedom. It allows me to have some level of control in a world where I feel like I have very little.
Like other seniors at Eastridge High School, the parking lot is the canvas where seniors paint their own parking spots for their final year of high school.
So it's kind of a nice way for the seniors to kind of have ownership on a small square in a parking lot.
Interim Principal David Dunn says it's kind of a big deal,
For most students it is.
but not as much for Maddie, who's legally blind and cannot drive.
Anyway, you really have to trust the process of what you're dealing with.
Now, Maddie is not a football fan, but she knows her principal is,
My whole life. Yeah, always a big Bills fan.
right down to the tie, all of which inspired this familiar logo in Maddie's parking spot.
One thing I always try to strive for is supporting other individuals for what interests they have.
Most school administrators have their own place to park. It comes with the title.
And the irony is I never really ever wanted my own parking spot because I didn't want to be seen as different.
Maddie saw it different.
Okay.
Being a big fan of one big Buffalo Bills fan.
He's lovely, I think. And I'm not saying that to be like a teacher's pet or anything. I actually legit mean that. He's been an amazing principal.
Which inspired an amazing gesture.
Total shock. total shock. And I said, really, Maddie? Really? And then she said, yeah.
Maddie asked her principal if he would take her senior parking spot.
And that was just a parking spot that I couldn't turn down.
The one she made just for him.
It was like waking up on Christmas morning and getting something that you didn't expect.
It's nice to know that I'm doing small things to help build up like other people and give them a sense of like appreciation, that other people appreciate them, because I feel like a lot of times people don't really appreciate not just like principals but each other.
There's no question.
Thank you.
You are a gifted artist.
More often than not, it's the adults trying to get through to students.
I was blown away. Never had a student in my whole career do something that special for me.
This connection came thanks to the vision of an extraordinary young lady.
I park here proudly, and it's a moment I'll never forget.
In Irondequoit, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News. The once-a-year gathering outside Attica Correctional Facility marks an occasion that more than a half-century later,
it is a very emotional day,
is still painful.
John D. Arcangelo, Elmer Hardy, Herbert Jones.
This remembrance honored the 10 prison employees killed in the September 1971 Attica prison uprising.
Number 1, Edward Cunningham.
Including Mark Cunningham's father.
Back in 1971, those who remember, we were told to keep our mouths shut and don't talk to each other. I remember that.
That's why the group of surviving family members formed as the Forgotten Victims of Attica.
The loss was immeasurable, but so was the love left behind.
To remember 10 prison employees, 9 of whom were killed in a hail of bullets when law enforcement stormed the prison, ending the siege in its 5th day, including Harrison Whalen.
I mean, we got up in the morning, had breakfast, and you never knew that that was going to be the last time you saw him.
33 inmates also died in the Attica uprising, most in its bloody end. Some credited with helping the hostages.
There was a lot of terrible things that happened behind there, but there were a lot of inmates that did a lot of good things behind there. We can't forget them either.
For years, relatives of those who died in the Attica uprising had hoped for an apology from New York State for the way the siege ended. They're still waiting.
Quite honestly, I don't think the apology's ever going to come. And it's just words at this point. I'm not even sure it would be meant as it should be anyways. So I'm not holding my breath for that.
"52 years still carries a lot of pain. Coming together to remember those lost has become their duty."
It is hard to come, but I can't imagine not coming, because I think it's really important that they're remembered and honored, and that this is our way of doing that.
Do you want to put one down?
In Attica, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News. This is where Daniel Jobin finds peace. Not so much in the place, but in the company he keeps at Lone Oak Stables in Kendall.
Good boy. I love horses, and I love growing up with them, and I love spending time with them and just working with them and seeing them grow and learn.
A love that led him here.
Good boy.
Where the horses help people.
Look at you.
As much as people help the horses.
It's a place where you can go, where you can kind of let go of everything.
Jobin is founder and director of Before the Last Call.
It's a good boy. It's a good boy.
An equine therapy program for first responders.
We deal with the worst of times, people's worst of times, and the things that we see and deal with stick with us for life.
Jobin spent 17 years as a firefighter and EMT. 4 years ago, He nearly died in a motorcycle accident.
Once I realized I was progressing far enough with the problems I have from the brain injuries and the spinal problems that this was a possibility. It definitely was motivation.
Motivation.
Are you a good boy? Yes, you are.
To help others.
There are things that when I go home, I just continue to think about them for days and days.
Nina Doyle is a firefighter, paramedic, and nurse. In their careers and at the stables, trust means healing.
As a first responder, you look at that brotherhood and that partnership, and you rely on your brothers and sisters to have your back in the worst of times.
Good boy.
And here with the horses, it's a similar thing.
Rachel Sullivan's husband is a police officer.
All right, come on.
His is a stressful job.
I can say it's equine therapy for both of us.
It's not easy for spouses either.
Like there's the therapy aspect for me. You build confidence in yourself, and you have to, like, you rely on each other. Like he has to trust me, I have to trust him.
It's estimated 400,000 U.S. first responders live with PTSD.
Our personalities aren't the type that go seeking help.
Jobin believes that number is low.
The things you see, the bad things you see, they never go away. And it's just finding ways to cope with them.
You don't want to do nothing, buddy?
Before the last call gives them an outlet, one filled with trust.
You are such a sweet girl. Yes, you are.
Love and support.
My story, I hope, helps others.
To find peace.
Such a good boy.
In good company, where no one is alone.
Seeing people smile and get that enjoyment, that feeling, that's, that puts a smile on my face, so I guess that's why I do it.
In Kendall, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News.
I love riding my bike because it makes me feel alive and free.
This is how Cinnamon McCullum gets around on two wheels and with a clear mind.
It's really meditative for me, and it's a positive experience.
For now,
I only ride. I don't have a car.
It's her only way around.
I don't even have a license. You just don't need these things in New York City. Sure. I was born and bred.
A philosophy McCullum brought to her new home in Rochester.
You see more, you observe more, you talk to people more when you're on a bike.
Rochester is in the process of re-evaluating how people get around and what they need to do it safely. The city's active transportation plan looks at existing conditions on streets, roads, trails, and intersections, and how to make them safer for people on 2 feet or on 2 wheels.
It's always important that we provide opportunities that are safe and reliable for all users. So yes, it does require us to look at and begin to rebalance our allocation of our spaces on our streets and adjoining areas like sidewalks, multi-use paths, and bike facilities.
Micromobility, it can be a toy for some people. It can be just a choice for other people.
McCullum spoke at a recent event where city leaders announced a partnership with e-scooter provider Vio. Their mission is to end dependency on cars through clean transportation, a priority for many cities.
I would say that Rochester is not unique in the sense that we are needing to address a rebalancing of our transportation system to account for non-motorized uses, those vulnerable users.
In Rochester, some main streets already have marked bike lanes, but not all of them.
The initial idea for the bike lanes, they're just so all over the place, and it wasn't well thought out. You'll have a bike lane for 3 blocks, and then for another 6 blocks, there's nothing.
Improvements McCullum would like to see, improvements the active transportation plan will consider. But in a city with declining population and full of roads built to move cars in and out quickly, it takes time.
The city of Rochester's transportation system wasn't built in a day, it wasn't built in a year, it was built over decades. And so as we do this, we have to look at opportunities as we go. So we want to do some things as part of routine maintenance, but also when we reconstruct roads, we're going to be able to look at what are some of those features that are ideal for what we want to accomplish.
It gets really busy over here, but they are starting to put up some signs, and so that's helpful. So it's a start.
Micromobility is a term McCullum has embraced.
I do feel like for the most part people are looking out for me.
Not just a way to get around, but a way of life.
It gives me so much in return for very little effort. All right, maybe a little bit of effort, but it's worth it.
In Rochester, Seth Voorhees, Spectrum News.